Okay, this is a video for Mohammed, a new member at the IELTS Tips and Tricks group on Facebook. I assume it's Dr. Mohammed, MDS by his name, new member, first essay, and this is what he produced. Assalamu alaikum. Here's the question that you needed to answer. It starts with young people who commit serious crimes should be punished in the same way as adults. Do you agree or disagree? Note the highlighting here. I'm highlighting the key words in the question. So you should analyze the question and ask yourself, who is it about? What is the situation? What exclusions are there from the scenario? And this helps a person do that. Introduction. It is believed by some. These letters here indicate the 4 band descriptors: task response, how well you respond to the question, and supporting points, things like that. Cohesion and coherence, organization and flow, vocabulary and grammar. And it is believed by. Note, these highlights are areas where there is an issue. I don't highlight the things that you do well, and you start off pretty well with a complex, with a grammar structure, the passive. It is believed by some people that severe sentences should be imposed on all criminals who commit hideous crimes regardless of their age. All right, so we've got some good replacement of words via like imposed, punished, and paraphrasing. God, I had brain fart there. On all criminals who commit hideous crimes, serious crimes. I suppose hideous seems to me a 1 degree more than just serious. All right, and severe sentences should be imposed. Here it says punish in the same way. So yes, this is true, provided that we are also imposing severe sentences on adults, and that depends upon the jurisdiction of where you are. All right, youngsters should be tried and imprisoned. It's orange, not quite red, because it talks about punished, not the criminal process, not the trying of, in the United States where I come from, they have a should they be tried as adults? That's the issue. This issue doesn't specify that. And the reason I put youngsters on there is we're talking about young people who commit serious crimes. Youngsters sounds so nice. It's sort of a tone thing. Oh, look at the youngsters playing in the park. Look at the youngsters beating up the old lady and stealing her money. All right, and then here we have our first of many punctuation and formatting errors, in that this should be a full stop, and this should be, of course, capitalized, and your comma comes after the opening phrase of your sentence, whether it be a conjunction, a coordinating phrase like this, or a time phrase, or any type of phrase that you use to introduce the sentence needs to be followed by a comma. First of many misspellings, another misspellings. And there's a better method to rehabilitate these young offenders. Well, okay. On one hand, and they'll really ding you for this. They'll penalize you for starting a paragraph with a dash. It's called improper formatting. It's like a 5. On one hand, committing, spelled wrong, a serious crime offense should be criminal offense. Offense is a noun, or just a serious crime. Usually result. This is a singular noun. Therefore, in the present simple, we need to add what? S. Subject verb agreement. It's a very basic grammar error, but it's very common. In a custodial sentence is spelled wrong, and custodial. Well, this is not a collocation that I am aware of. Usually they would call it incarceration or imprisonment. Of course, you can't have imprisonment in prison. Where all prisoners live together in a safe and happy place. No, in the same place. This means, spelled wrong. Have to spell. Okay, so the consequence of them going to prison would be that, again, this is a hypothetical situation. So we would use the same grammar as we would in the second conditional. This means that young delinquents would have to spend, a lot is 2 words, very common mistake there, a lot of time with real adult criminals. Remember, we're talking about young people who commit serious crimes. They're real criminals as well. Once again, forgotten capital, exacerbate, spelled wrong, the situation. What is the situation? Here is the supporting sentence, but I question the clarity of it because I don't know what the situation, you haven't explained the situation. Because, spelled wrong, they may mimic the deviant behavior of mature criminals, increase the possibility. Let's start with that. Mimic means to copy the movements of, specifically. I would much rather have a verb here like, be influenced by, or fall under the influence of, or copy, or learn from, of the mature criminals. So they're copying the mature criminals in prison. It is not, you're jumping to a conclusion if you say that, because they may mimic, missing some words here, and increase, and this sentence is too long, and increase the possibility, misspelling, of recidivating. Now that's actually spelled right, but Dr. Mohammed, you tell me that you had the word recidivating at your finger, in the front of your brain, because that's a pretty high level word. I don't doubt you, but well, no, I do. Recidivating. When they are released back into society. And then we have our example. France for incarceration of young and adult criminals should be period in the same place in 2013. You need some type of connector here. This is just 2 independent clauses. The young delinquents I guess the young delinquents in France, that's why we have the, spelled wrong, became normal and more productive citizens when they reintegrated back into society. Normal, not a good word choice there. Therefore, prison is not a perfect place for young criminals. Who said anything about it being perfect? It's the, we don't want, prison is not, you need to be stronger here, because this recap of your point doesn't strongly support what you've been saying. Same thing here, far too broad, may result. After a modal verb, we don't use the S. Fairly well supported. We do have some issues there. Don't do the dash. On the other hand, sending, we don't use the before a plural noun when speaking in general. So to rehabilitation centers is more effective than housing them with criminals, with adult criminals. You need a capital. These centers apply strict discipline, provide educational programs, and implicate, definitely the wrong word. Implicate means to accuse or say someone did something. I don't know what you meant to say there. And implicate, okay, and into community service. Introduce or indoctrinate. Again, spelled wrong. Spelled wrong. Always again help them become more responsible citizens when they are released in society. Again, jumping to a conclusion. So it does this, and you say that is the result. But where's the support? Thus. Okay, yeah, this last sentence has a lot of problems. Why are we starting with thus? Thusly, if we provide appropriate educational participating in social activities. Social activities are like, sports and games and tea parties and, how to improve your drug sales, or I don't know, can have more beneficial outcomes than serving a long sentence in jail. Okay, claimed. Not really well supported. In conclusion, this is annoying. I don't know why people do this. The comma goes next to the word, not by itself. Ooh, uncapitalized I. I would have to disagree that young people should be penalized in the same way as mature offenders, because rehabilitation institutions are a better solution in comparison to living with murderers. Better solutions when compared to. And also, do look up the blog recently by a colleague of mine regarding parallelism, which is a concept in grammar where, as a doctor, you'd appreciate, our minds expect things to follow a similar pattern. So when you have two halves or three or multiple parts of a thing, in this case a sentence, you want them to be in the same format. So I would have to disagree that young people should be penalized in the same way as mature offenders, because now, two things that we're going to compare, and they should have the same format. Here we have a noun phrase. Rehabilitation institution is a better solution. And that should be then, or when compared to, we need to compare it to another noun phrase. Living with murderers and rapists in prison. That's a participle phrase using the present participle. And to be really, if you want to make it a top-notch essay, look at your opportunities to show parallelism. So, in the same way as mature offenders, because living in a rehabilitation institution is a better solution than living with murderers and rapists in prison. Okay, so how did you do? Well, they asked us they should be punished in the same way. The question doesn't say they should live in the same institutions. Punished means under the same conditions, and you can certainly have 17, 18-year-olds in juvenile detention centers until they turn 18, and then they're adults, and then we don't care them. They're not young people anymore, according to our legal shared legal philosophy. So punished to me means like sentence. Is it, for example, the death sentence? Should a 17-year-old who kills 6 people be subject to capital punishment? A lot of countries don't have capital punishment, but do we impose the same penalties? Not necessarily so much where they live. So when we look at, let's see here, next, spacebar. This is my version of the banned descriptors. It's what several people have done this, and maybe we're not sticking to the exact words, but I do it to make it easier for students to understand. 6, 7, 8. And in task response, your ideas are explained and supported. They're not well explained. You make assumptions, and they're somewhat general, and you jump to conclusions, as I hope I showed you. But you do answer all parts of the question. It's not strongly supported. And the examples, you only had one example, and it wasn't very clear, and it was very general. Okay, so 6. How well did your essay flow? Yeah, it flowed well. However, I can't put you up to an 8. I'll keep you at a 7, even though your topic sentences were weak. You can't point to it and identify, okay, which one is the topic sentence. Lexical resource. Again, it might have been an 8. However, actually, 7 is going to be tough, because to get a 7, you can only make occasional spelling errors. Here, the spelling errors were so frequent that they weren't occasional. There were a lot of them. And that can be cured through proofreading. I'm sure you recognize misspelled words when you read them. Many people, when they write them, have that. It's not the same level of accuracy. So the good thing is you can fix your spelling, hopefully, just by proofreading and paying better attention to detail. But I would knock it down to a 6 for that reason. Good complex sentences, your grammar is fine. However, all of those formatting errors, like not having a capital letter, and there are enough grammar mistakes that I can't say that many sentences have no grammar mistakes or errors. But the grammar overall, I think, was good enough to warrant a 7 there. So 7, 6, 7, 7, that's a 6.5. And yeah, but just fix that, and well, I can't guarantee anything, but welcome to the group. Right? Write in the comments if you have any questions. And